Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another Battle of the Debuts, the Best Sellers edition. This was an idea of one of you guys, just to mix it up a bit. We're doing battles during March of bands' best selling albums. Not particularly, sometimes not their best album, but the best selling albums. And we got a real treat for you today. Two great bands, big in the 70s and 80s. We got Foreigner against Journey. We've got Double Vision from Foreigner and Escape from Journey. Two really good albums. So as we do normally, the band that released their album first goes up first, and in this case it is Foreigner. As you know, Foreigner, one of my favourite bands. We've done the studio albums and live albums, put together by Mick Jones and ex-King's Crimson Ian MacDonald and Lou Gramm, Dennis Elliott, and they got their name because there was some Americans and Brits, and they called it Foreigner. Made lots of albums, really successful albums, lots of success, #1 songs as well. Now their best selling album is their second album, Double Vision, and it was released on the 20th of June 1978. And it was produced by Keith Olsen, and it was the last recording with bass guitarist Edgar Dealey. So on this album there is Lou Gramm on lead vocals, Mick Jones on lead guitar, backing vocals, acoustic piano and lead vocals, Ian MacDonald on guitars, keyboards, reeds and vocals, Al Greenwood on keyboards, Edgar Dealey on bass, and Dennis Elliott on the drums. Opens up with the brilliant Hot Blooded. This kicks. I love this song. One of my favourite songs by this band. It's just that great riff from Mick. Absolutely brilliant track. What a way to start an album. Then we get Blue Morning, Blue Day. Great little rock track again. Some great guitar through this. Absolutely belting track. You're all I am. It's okay. It's one of the mediocre sort of tracks on here. I don't dislike this track. It's just not one of my favourite. Then we get Back Where You Belong, classic rocker. Some great harmonies on this. It's an absolute stonking track, as I call them. Love that track as well. Then we get Love Has Taken Its Toll. Great track, great saxophone solo here for Ian MacDonald, absolutely amazing. Then we get the title track, Double Vision. That opening riff actually grabs you by the what's-its. It's really good. I love that track. Then we get an instrumental. It's just like an instrumental though, and that's Tramontane. It's my favourite track on this album. I love the keyboards, the guitar solo is brilliant. It sounds so proggy in places. Great thing. I've Been Waiting So Long. Great track. Typical Foreigner song. Solid As You Like. Lonely Children. I like this. It's got some fantastic keyboard runs in this, usual sort of great guitar work, solid track. Spellbinder, I think this is Lou's best vocal on this album. I like the little bit of prog bit in the middle as well. It's absolutely brilliant. So that's Double Vision. As you know, I do like this album. It's solid from top to bottom. There isn't really a bad track on here. There's a couple of weaker tracks, but they're all good, solid tracks. So many classics on this. And I love this album. Simple as. Um, but that's okay. But what did the critics think? So, well, there's not too much written about it, but I have found it. Los Angeles Times critic Robert Hilburn described Double Vision as slickly produced, commercially powerful, but artistically vapid. The record critic Rick Atkinson said the album that used to have the same formula as Foreigner's debut album, such as Foreigner's Clone, would have been an appropriate title. Don't know what he's on about there. They're both good albums. Murfreesboro Press critic Van Vess also recognised Double Vision having similarities to Foreigner. Jeez, these people. If you got a sound and people like it, you carry on with it. But there are important differences, he says. Double Vision has more individualistic interpretations and a heavy metal tonal structure instead of some of the careful harmonies on the debut. World Records said beside the hit singles Back Where You Belong and Spellbinder, Foreigner shows expertise and maturity as a band. So there we are, some things. So what are the star ratings? All Music gave it a 4 stars. Christo's Record Guide, that clown, a C minus. Idiot. Rolling Stone gave it 4 and a bit. Chart wise, it did quite well all over the world. Australia got to number 13. Canada was number 3. New Zealand 32. Here in the UK was 32 and number 3 in the USA. Got 2 certifications. Canada 2 times platinum. A bit more mouthful today. 2 times platinum, and USA 7 times platinum. So it sold a lot of albums. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts here. The song quality. There's some classics on here, isn't there? Staple of the sets for many, many years. So I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Production. One of the critics said it was slick. I don't think this is slick. This is 1978. It's got a little bit of beef to it. There's some great sound. So I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Reception. Well, Canada, it was very big on over the other side of the Atlantic. Both in Canada, 2 times platinum, United States 7 times platinum. Did well, top 40 album. So I should give Reception a 4 out of 5. Cover design. And that's where it really lets it down. I like the idea, the double vision and all that, but I don't know. When you look at some of their other album covers, this is quite bland. So I will give that a 3 out of 5. So the grand total for Foreigner Double Vision is a 15 out of 20. So let's move swiftly on to Journey. Journey, of course, formed in San Francisco 73 by former members of Santana and the Steve Miller Band and Fruma's Bandersnatch. I love that name. Very big from 1978 to 1987. They've sold 48 million albums in the US, making the 25th best-selling band. Their worldwide sales are over 100 million records. And this one, Escape, was their 7th album, and it was released on the 31st of July 1981. And it was the first album with keyboardist Jonathan Cain, who replaced founding keyboard Greg Raleigh. So, the band when the Escape came out was Mr. Steve Perry on the lead, vocals Neil Schon on lead guitar, Jonathan Cain on the keyboards, Ross Valoy on the bass, and Mr. Steve Smith as ever on the drums. Now this album opens up with one of the greatest rock tracks and probably the best thing that Steve Perry ever sang. It's got one of the greatest piano intros. Of course we're talking about Don't Stop Believin'. I just love this song. It's one of the songs that gets played and played and played, and I don't get bored with this one. I just love this song. Great song. Second track, Stone in Love, one of my favourite tracks on this album. I love that really great riff that Neil came up for that. Steve Perry absolutely on fire, and Ross with that great bass line. Brilliant track, absolutely brilliant track. Third track on this one, Who's Crying Now? One of my favourite ballads by Journey. It's got a great bass line again from Ross and a fine vocal from Steve Perry. Absolute dynamite track. Then we get my favourite track on this album, Keep On Runnin'. It's got one of my favourite solos from Neil on this, and also you've got a great bass line from Ross again. It's a really good track. Then we get Still They Ride. I like this track. This is an album made in 1981. The production was starting to change, but with Journey they never seem to change their sound too much. They got the balance right on this, and I really like this track. Then we get the title track, Escape. A great rocker. The riffs are brilliant. The harmonies on this are absolutely brilliant. All round good track. Lay It Down. A good strong rocker again. From Neil's driving riffs to that wonderful vocal from Steve Perry. Dead or Alive. Drumming from Steve on this is absolutely fantastic. Get some nice piano from Jonathan. Then we get Mother Father. Again, this has got one of my favourite solos by Neil Schon. And you got Jonathan's beautiful keyboards, pianos coming through. Open Arms. Some of Jonathan's best piano work. Lovely vocal from Steve again. I like the gentle drums from Steve. Nice way to end the album. So what do I think of this? So you remember when I ranked this was my #1 Journey album. I don't very often go with the flow, as I said then, but there's a reason for this. It's just an absolutely amazing album. Great tracks. One of Steve Perry's finest performances in Journey. What more can you ask for? It is a great album. So what do the critics think? So Mike DeGange of AllMusic awarded Escape 4.5 stars. The songs are timeless, and as a whole that they have a way of rekindling the innocence of youth, romance and rebelliousness of growing up. Absolutely spot on. Colin Larkin awarded the album 4 out of 5. And then Rolling Stones were less favourable. The first review by Deborah Frost marked Journey as heavy metal posers. Now, where in the Journey genre do they come under heavy metal? They've never been heavy metal. Silly woman. Sometimes I wonder where they get their critics from, Rolling Stone magazine. So they gave it 2.5 stars. But Dave Marsh did it again in 1983 and gave it a little bit more. Kerrang readers voted Escape the greatest AOR album of all time. You see, even the down You know, proper headbangers appreciate this. And in 1989, Kerrang ranked Escape number 32 in their 100 greatest heavy metal albums. So there you go. And Cashbox, which I found out, I've described They Still Ride as a bluesy lament with a sad, almost more mournful vocal. So let's have a look at some of the ratings. All Music have said so, give it 4.5. Encyclomusic of Popular Music 4. The Great Rock and Roll Discography 8 out of 10. And Rolling Stone 2. What a bunch of chumps. Heavy metal. So, how did it do in the charts? Well, in Canada, got to number 6 in the album charts. Germany, number 49. Japan, 26. New Zealand, 36. And again, like Foreigner, they got to number 32 here in the UK. US, number 1. Certifications. Canada, 3 times platinum. And in the United States, it went diamond. Yes, folks, diamond. Very popular album. So let's look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality. Fantastic songs. Memorable songs. Bringing back, as the critics say, got days gone by. So I'm going to have to give this a 5 out of 5. Production. It's great production, but some of that smoothness on some of the tracks is starting to creep in. So I'll give that one a 4 out of 5. Reception. Although it only got to number 32 here in the UK, it was an album that everyone loved. You know, as a young rock fan, yeah, everyone loved this, and we all loved Don't Stop Believin', and we still do. It sold well all over the world. To get a diamond, that's incredible in 1980s. You know, you had to. You know, there was none of this streaming nonsense. It was all physical copies in them days, of course. So that's an amazing achievement. So I'm going to give that 5 out of 5. Cover design. As with most Journey album covers, they are fantastic. And this is another one. It's such an iconic cover as well. You look at that from afar and you know it's Escape by Journey. So I should give that a 5 out of 5 as well. So for Escape by Journey, gives us a total of 19 out of 20, nearly full marks. Big winner today by a clear margin. Okay, I love both the albums. I really do. As far as I'm concerned, there's not much between them. But if I was to, I've got to choose now. It's going to be Journey, because this album brings back so many memories of growing up. I was a bit when Double Vision. I wasn't really into the thing in 1978, 79. I was a 12-year-old. But in 1981, I was 13, 14, and I started to really love music. And I just love this album. It's, you know, it's my favourite album by Journey. So I'm going to give this one to Journey today. So, if you disagree with me, you know the drill. You can, wherever you watch this, you put it in your comments, or you can go to the community page on the YouTube page and find the poll and cast your vote there. Because we're using StreamYard now, you can't vote. But I will keep a running total throughout the stream as well. I'll have a bit of paper and I'll do it the old-fashioned way. So if you come on tonight, I shall keep asking the question and we'll tot it up. Okay, that's all for this edition. Got a good one next week for you, which will be the last of the battle of the bestsellers. But later today we've got a pick and mix, and we're doing a producer today. And this one was actually asked by my mate Gary, and we're going to be looking at Mr. Nile Rodgers. Also, just to remind you that the closing date for the Let Me Introduce Myself competition contest closes Wednesday of next week at 10 AM. So if you haven't made your video, you've got another 6 days to get it in. If you don't want to go on screen with your face, make a video, make a short, just make a video. I don't mind how you do it, as long as I get you post a video. Okay, I'll be back later with Nile Rodgers. Bye for now.